I'm on board with that.
Is Chris Hill officially retired? If not, can we bring him out to just injure as many of the World Cup opposition as possible?
Well, I'm thinking more the Super League opposition. Forget the World Cup. No, bit of a mixed bag there in what people are saying. So, first of all, do you think that this is a better challenge for England than playing one of the other nations, Jamaica, France, or Scotland, or Ireland, or Wales?
I think, given the circumstances, that there's one opportunity, one game between now and the World Cup preparation period. You potentially have a World Cup warm-up game, but really one game to be able to play. You need to play the best opposition that can come the closest to replicating a top side. Unfortunately, there isn't another Northern Hemisphere side that's going to be able to do that. You're not going to get a travelling side for one game, especially at the moment. Therefore, using the best of what's around and making them into a team has got to be the best way around of doing it, I think, given the focus is on attempting to win the World Cup.
Yeah, and I do like the bringing in of other nations into it. It gives an opportunity for other players to get that level of competition, but they don't necessarily have to play alongside a League One player when they're doing it, which is what would happen if they were playing Wales or Scotland, or France, effectively, with Elite One players being League One kind of level. So I think on that side it works. Probably the fact that there'll be very little preparation doesn't work necessarily. What I would like it to be is picked from players who seem likely to be playing in the World Cup, if at all possible. So instead of playing James Maloney, you would have your Tui Loelahias in, you'd have your Mason Linos in the starting side.
That would be good, because you could then use it as almost a trailer for the World Cup, couldn't you? So you market it as a come and see everybody in the World Cup that you'll see, but a bit early.
Yeah, exactly. Day. Yeah, and sprinkling in maybe James Bell from Scotland to go with Lachlan Coote from Scotland. You got Regan Grace there for Wales. He's probably their real star name this time around, isn't he? I'm struggling to think of anyone else who'd be playing for Wales who's
possibly Ben Flower, depending on what your pack in your bench is looking like.
Gildudson.
Yeah. One of them probably would come come into it. I think. Yeah, that's with Morgan Knowles deciding to be English. I think that's it, isn't it?
I mean, he's from Cumbria, so he is English, but but I take your point definitely. And who've we got for Ireland? Tyrone McCarthy. That a little bit of that. You might get sort of not quite as elite a team, but in the same way, you've got more players who are actually playing for something, because the greatest will in the world, Greg Inglis and James Maloney, don't fucking need this game. They'll say no to it.
Greg Inglis will, if he's not already injured, have an injury 1 to 2 weeks before it. I can almost guarantee it. I wonder because is it the baseball where they do something around, like they have to have a player from each side or something? There's some sort of quota around a player from each team in the squad. I've got to think there's one of the All-Star sports where they do it. Yeah, in the All-Star. I mean, I quite enjoy the All-Star game, but could they do something like that with that side to make it, one, you've got to have one from as many nations as possible to first, and then you can pick afterwards. To try and make it more representative as a whole, and just make it more of a thing, and you could, have a bit of a media thing and a contest of who gets those slots. You could make a story out of that.
Yeah, because you could start talking about that now, couldn't you? You could start talking about who's going to be the Tongan representative? Will it be Hurrell? Will it be Fafita? Will it be?
You do a nice little graphic here, which has got the five top Tongans and who they're going to be. You go down that way.
Yeah. But definitely, it's what we've got. It's the best. It's the best we can do this time around. Okay, let's get into coaching news, Tim.
Yes. So, in so many coaches, more coaches than a coach factory or whatever. Warrington Wolves head coach Steve Price will leave his position at the end of the 2021 season or sooner. The Australian, whose contract expires at the end of the year, will remain in charge of the first team for the upcoming campaign. He will then return home to Australia with his wife and 3 daughters. Price joined the club in 2018 and reached 2 major finals that year before leading the Wolves to Challenge Cup success in 2019. And we had a predictable pair of fan views on this one.
Yeah. Tom Andrews said, applies to Powell and Price, but it seems very odd to announce before the season. You wonder if their hearts will be in it. Can imagine both being sacked off before the season's end and their replacements brought in if found. And Carsten said, he knows if he doesn't win the grand final with GI, it will never be their year. Steve Price has been successful, hasn't he? Relatively so. He's won a trophy in his time here, which a lot of coaches don't get to do.
He's not looked particularly happy at any point, has he? Yeah, although he has.
That's because he knows every time he's cut to in the crowd, there's going to be a load of Gale from Coronation Street memes rocking around Twitter. Poor old chinless wonder.
Either that, or he's MasterChef's John Toroda. That's the other one, isn't it? I think he's done pretty well. He seems to have bought in. He seems to be a bit more settled generally of being over here. And I think, we saw one of the interviews with him that he said, they decided it wasn't, it had come to a natural conclusion for him and his family. And I think with one of his daughters reaching starting school, and they just wanted to go back to Australia to do that. I think he's done pretty well. I think Warrington have got quite a lot out of him relatively, and so I think they've done pretty well for both sides.
Yeah, I'm not sure what his legacy will be. I think that'll be defined on this year, because Warrington have continued to make splash signings, and Price has had to try and integrate them. And last year, from an entertainment point of view, it didn't work. But the year before, they were an entertaining side who became a successful side as well, showing grit. And then they became a gritty side that weren't entertaining, yet should have been. So I think I don't buy this, the Hearts won't be in it line. I think that side is his side. He's been there for a number of years. The players respect him clearly, and I think I just don't buy it, this whole Hearts won't be in it thing. What I do think though is if they go on a bad run, which can happen through injuries or key players losing form or just other teams being better, then the pressure will mount way quicker in this situation.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I mean, the pressure would be there anyway at a club like Warrington if you went on a really shit run, just because of how much they've spent.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
So more head coach news, with head coach Daryl Powell set to leave Castleford at the end of the 2021 season. Powell, who's 55, took over at his boyhood club in 2013, succeeding Ian Millward and turned the Tigers into a side challenging for honours. He led the club to the 2014 Challenge Cup final and won the League Leaders Shield and reached the first Summer-era Grand Final in 2017, losing to Leeds. Powell said, "For both me and the club, it is the right time. It gives the club time to plan for the future. I thought the timing was was right, and I wanted to make a proactive decision for both parties. It gives us that time. I am massively motivated this year. I have loved being part of the club's history and helping players to grow and develop, and I would really love to finish off in a positive way with a grand final win and close a chapter that has been such a special time in my life. Tim, we've had a couple of neutral fan views in. Do you want to give us those? And then we'll bring in a special non-neutral fan view.
Yep, sure. So firstly, we had John Joshua's granddad said, all things come to an end, and this will mean a drifting season for both Cass and Powell is to be seen. Both are in need of freshening up, and we'll be interested to see who gets the better of things, Cass with a new coach or Powell with his trip over to the Halliwell. And Carsten said, is Daryl Powell doing the Shatinho? Is the captain leaving the sinking ship first?
I had to look that up because I couldn't remember that reference, but it's the Costa Concordia. I don't know why I'm laughing. It's like, it was obviously a real disaster, but yeah, Shatinho should probably be more famous in our minds for being that dishonourable of captains. But let's bring in the man who we really need to hear from about this news. The Messiah is leaving, Rob.
He is, yeah. Good evening, gentlemen. Yeah, he is. I don't think it was unexpected, to be honest. I'd seen a couple of, I've heard a couple of rumours, and I'd seen a couple of rumours on Twitter and stuff like that. So, but I was still gutted. I think it was Friday when it broke. Well, no, was it earlier in the week? It was just after I listened to the show, actually. It was the Tuesday.
Friday then.
Friday.
Oh, was it Friday? Okay, so it was.
It was the morning after we'd recorded.
Typically, it was the day after you recorded. Yeah, I'm gutted. I'm over it now after the weekend. I don't think it'll be a drifting season. I think Cass are going to piss it, obviously. I think it probably is the right time for him to move on. When we had that fantastic year in 2017, we extended a load of contracts all at the same time, most of which are out of contract at the end of this year. So next year, 2022 is going to be a sort of transitional season anyway, because we've got so many players that are out of contract. So either way, next year we're going to be tough. I think it's good that he's announced it early, or we've announced it early as a club. It saves all the speculation. Hopefully, we'll go out in a blaze of glory.
And you're obviously confident that you will, like you are every year, Rob. But we speculated a little bit on the season preview show about whether things were drifting at Cass and whether they did need a change up. But first, before you sort of talk about what might happen next, how do you reflect on Daryl Powell's time then? Because there has been some silverware, hasn't there, with the League Leaders Shield?
Yeah, absolutely. He's been absolutely brilliant. And also he's been very loyal, because on more than one occasion there's been a different club from just down the road come knocking on his door, and he's turned them down both times. But if you think where we were in 2012, was it, when he joined under Millward, after Millward left, we were sort of also Rans. He turned us into a force. We've been top half almost every season. He's had horrendous luck throughout his time, especially at the end of 2017 with Luke Gale's appendix, and then Sackard Acres' error of judgment. But you can't fault the guy. You can't fault him for his loyalty. You can't fault him for his for what he's done for the club, the results. The 2017. I and this isn't me being biased. I honestly think that was the best team that Super League's ever seen in terms of the regular season. It wasn't just that we were winning games. We were blasting. How many times did we score over 50 points? And not just against the lesser teams, against teams like Leeds and stuff like that, and even Wigan and Saints, we hammered that season, and it was just like everything fell into place. The last couple of years, we never replaced Hardacre. We never had a fullback, and we never had any cover in the halfbacks. This season we have. So this season we've got Evels, we've got O'Brien as backup, and then we've got two decent half-backs, and we've got O'Brien that can cover that position as well. So this season, if everything goes right, if we stay relatively injury-free, I do believe that we can get some more silverware, and to be honest, he deserves it.
And do you think it's 2 + 2 is equaling 4?